The house shimmered with fairy lights that hung from every corner, bathing the living room in a warm, golden glow. My 21st birthday party was supposed to be a night to remember. The night I'd finally feel like an adult. Laughter and the clinking of glasses filled the air, the smell of chocolate cake and perfume blending into a soft haze of celebration. Mom had outdone herself, as always. She'd spent days planning the party. Balloons in shades of pink and cream, a banner with, "Happy Birthday, Lily," written in elegant gold letters, and a playlist that alternated between my favorite songs and her nostalgic classics. To anyone looking from the outside, we were the perfect family. The doting mother, the responsible older brother, and the birthday girl glowing at the center of it all. But perfection has a strange weight, when you know it's only for show. I noticed it in the way Mom's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. She fluttered around the guests like a hostess on autopilot, refilling glasses and laughing just a little too loudly. Caleb, my brother, kept glancing toward her as if waiting for a signal. Every time our eyes met, he looked away. I brushed it off at first. Maybe I was imagining it, nerves, or the pressure of being the center of attention. But then, as I stood by the cake table, I caught the moment that changed everything. Mom leaned toward Caleb near the kitchen doorway, her voice low but firm. I wasn't meant to hear her, but the music dipped just enough for her words to slip through the air. "While everyone's here," she whispered, "go and change the locks." I froze, my breath catching halfway in my chest. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. "Change the locks? On my birthday? Why?" Caleb frowned. "Now," he asked softly, his eyes darting toward me. Mom's response was quiet but cold. "Now, before she realizes." Before I realize what? The knife I was holding to cut the cake trembled slightly in my hand. The laughter around me sounded suddenly distant, muffled by the pounding in my ears. I forced a smile when my best friend nudged me to blow out the candles, but my chest ached with unease. Everyone cheered when I made a wish. The kind of wish you make when you don't yet know your world is about to crumble. All evening, I caught myself glancing toward the hallway, half expecting to hear the metallic click of a lock being turned. Mom avoided my gaze, busying herself with serving dessert, complimenting guests, pretending everything was fine. When the last sparkler fizzled out and the music faded, I stood by the window watching my guests leave, laughter echoing down the driveway. My reflection in the glass looked calm, composed. But inside, something had shifted. Something in me knew that whatever waited after tonight wouldn't feel like home anymore. I didn't yet understand the meaning behind Mom's words, but a quiet dread settled in my stomach, whispering that my life, and our family, would never be the same again. By the time the last guest's car disappeared down the street, the house had fallen into a heavy silence. Streamers hung limp from the ceiling, and half-empty glasses stood like ghosts of celebration on the coffee table. The smell of frosting and candle smoke still lingered, but all the warmth that had filled the room earlier was gone. Mom was standing by the sink, her back to me, rinsing dishes that didn't need cleaning. Caleb was quietly gathering wrapping paper into a trash bag, eyes fixed on the floor. The hum of the dishwasher filled the space between us, mechanical, constant, and painfully ordinary for what I was about to hear. "Mom," I began softly, trying to keep my voice from trembling. "Why are you changing the locks?" She didn't turn around. The sound of water running seemed to get louder, until she finally set down a plate with deliberate care. When she faced me, her expression was composed, almost rehearsed. "You overheard that, didn't you?" she said. I nodded. "Why would you?" "Because it's time, Lily." Her tone was calm, but the words hit like a slap. "You're 21 now. You've been living here for months after quitting college. No job, no direction. You need to learn responsibility." My mouth fell open. "Responsibility? I'm trying." "I've been applying for jobs every week." Mom raised a hand sharply, cutting me off. "Trying isn't enough. I've spent years giving you everything. Now it's your turn to stand on your own." Her words burned hotter than I expected. This wasn't the first time we'd argued about my future, but something in her eyes told me this time was different, final. Caleb shifted awkwardly behind her. "Mom, maybe we should talk about this tomorrow," he murmured. She shot him a look that silenced him instantly. "No, tonight." Then, to me, "You can stay the night, but by tomorrow morning, I want your things packed." Caleb's already changed the locks. The room seemed to tilt. "You're serious?" I whispered. Her face didn't waver. "You need to learn independence, Lily. You'll thank me one day." Thank her for throwing me out of my own home. I stared at her, waiting for some sign of remorse, a crack in her perfect composure. But there was none. I turned to Caleb, desperate. "You actually did it. You changed the locks." He swallowed hard, unable to meet my eyes. I didn't have a choice. There it was. The betrayal layered inside betrayal. My own brother, my closest ally growing up, had followed her orders without question. For a long moment, none of us spoke. Then I walked to my room, the sound of my footsteps echoing on the hardwood floor like the closing of a chapter. I packed in silence. A duffel bag of clothes, my laptop, a few photographs that didn't already feel poisoned by the night. When I stepped outside, the porch light flickered above me, casting everything in a pale, lonely glow. I turned back once more, hoping she might call me back, tell me it was all a mistake. But the door stayed closed. And when I heard the click of the new lock sliding into place, it felt like the world itself had shut me out. That was the moment I stopped being a daughter, and became a stranger in my own life. The first night after leaving home, I slept on my friend Maya's couch. The cushions were too short, the blanket too thin, and the city outside her apartment never seemed to sleep. Every car horn and siren reminded me that I didn't belong anywhere anymore. I spent hours staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how a birthday could turn into an eviction. The hurt came in waves. Disbelief, anger, shame. I kept replaying Mom's words in my head. "You'll thank me one day." It felt cruel, almost laughable. The next morning, I started looking for work. I walked from shop to shop, filling out applications with a shaky hand, pretending I wasn't one missed paycheck away from sleeping in my car. I finally landed a job at a small diner downtown. Minimum wage, long hours, and a uniform that smelled like grease no matter how many times I washed it. But it was something. It was mine. Mia tried to keep my spirits up. She'd say, "One day, you'll look back and see this was the beginning, not the end." I wanted to believe her, but it was hard to see beginnings when you're barely holding on to the middle. Weeks turned into months. I worked double shifts, saving every spare dollar. Between orders, I sketched designs in a small notebook. Ideas for logos, websites, anything creative. Art had always been my escape, and in that tiny corner of my life, I found a spark that Mom could never take away. When Mia's roommate moved out, I scraped together enough for half the rent. It wasn't much. A narrow room with cracked walls and a window that stuck in the winter. But when I set my few belongings down, I whispered to myself, "This is home." One night, after another exhausting shift, I stumbled across a free online course in graphic design. Something inside me lit up. I spent every spare moment studying, watching tutorials, practicing, failing, trying again. Slowly, my sketches became digital art, my doodles turned into freelance projects. I started earning enough to quit the diner. For the first time in years, I woke up with purpose. There were still nights when I missed home. The smell of Mom's coffee, the way sunlight used to pour through the kitchen window. But then I'd remember the sound of that lock clicking behind me, and the ache would harden into resolve. By the time I turned 28, I had my own studio apartment, clients who trusted my work, and a quiet peace that didn't depend on anyone else's approval. I didn't need Mom's validation anymore. I'd built my life from the pieces she left behind. Sometimes, I'd pass by our old neighborhood on my way to meet a client. The house looked the same from the outside, neat garden, white shutters, a picture of stability. But to me, it was just a building. The real home was the one I carried within me. The one I built out of resilience, late nights, and the refusal to give up. I didn't know it yet, but life had a way of circling back. And soon, I'd find myself standing at that same doorstep again. Only this time, the locks wouldn't matter. Years had passed, but the memory of that night, the lock, the betrayal, the hollow look in Caleb's eyes, never left me. I had rebuilt my life from scratch, and with every small victory, a quiet fire burned inside me. I didn't want mere revenge at first, I wanted acknowledgement, a moment when they would see what their cruelty had cost them. The opportunity came unexpectedly. I had been contacted by a high-end interior design firm, tasked with creating a smart home system for a private residence. When I saw the address, my heart stuttered. It was theirs, my childhood home. The same house that had once felt like a sanctuary now loomed like a monument to betrayal. I walked inside, feeling a wave of memories crash over me: birthday parties, arguments, stolen trust. Mom greeted me politely, her smile rehearsed, but I saw the flicker of surprise in her eyes. Caleb was there too, now older, more hesitant, his confidence fading under my steady gaze. Neither recognized the fire in me, the woman I had become. "This is where you'll be installing the system," Mom said, her tone calm but strained. "I want everything efficient, flawless. Don't miss a single detail." I smiled softly. "Of course," I replied, hiding the storm beneath my calm. I worked meticulously, programming the smart locks, the alarm system, and the cameras. Every motion sensor, every access point was under my control, every door and window a reminder of the control I had reclaimed. I wasn't reckless, I wasn't cruel. This was precision. This was poetic justice. When the installation was complete, I handed them the final tablet. "Everything's set," I said. "You'll have full control over your home." "Well, almost." Mom frowned. "Almost." I leaned closer, my voice gentle, almost motherly, like hers once was. "The system is programmed so that only authorized users can make changes. And right now, the only authorized users are me." Her face paled, Caleb's lips parted, but no words came out. The realization hit them like a wave: they couldn't enter their own house without my approval. Every lock, every sensor, every door obeyed me. Their kingdom, once theirs by birthright, had been silently claimed by the daughter they'd tried to cast out. Mom started, her voice trembling. I held up a hand. "No apologies, no explanations. Just a reminder. You can't undo the past. You can't erase what you made me feel. You taught me independence, resilience. And now, you'll see what it feels like to be powerless." For a long moment, they stared at me, trapped by the very walls they had built around themselves. I turned toward the door, my heart calm, my mind clear. As I walked away, the sunlight fell across my face, warming me with the glow of victory. I hadn't needed to yell, to confront, or to hurt them. I had simply become untouchable, the architect of my own life and their silent reckoning. And as I disappeared down the street, leaving them behind, I finally felt a weight lift from my chest. Revenge, I realized, was sweetest when it was silent, elegant, and absolute.